Oh, look at that. I wonder if they'd call that 1 manpower rather than 1 horsepower.
Be strong.
Not really, it's just the trailer's light. So we've got still a bit of swarm catching, straightening up to do. I thought I'd show you a bit of a comparison between a first swarm that happens and a late swarm that happens. Just the volumes that there is and the difference in the girls and how quick they build up. I thought that'd be interesting because that's what's going on this time of year. We're here in Oz, got, you know, spring is sprunging, although you wouldn't have known that the other day, it was bloody freezing cold. So, but spring is sprung, so here we go. So here's a little bit of a late swarm arrival, I think. I'd be tipping that this is a second swarm because it's not very big. If you're not really concerned about trying to keep hold of the genetics, you throw them all together and you make one big nest out of, or one big hive, I should call them correctly, out of either one. But I just want to see what these girls turn into. So we've got a few bees to spare. Well, not to spare, but we have got enough resources to actually see what happens with this by itself. So we'll just show you what they're doing under here. They're just starting to build a little bit more. They've decided to build in the roof. So I want to get them out of here and get them in a little newt box because they're not big enough to be in here anyway. And it looks like they're just going to make themselves a mess in the roof of this here. So I figure we take this out of the way and we'll bring the newt box over here and we'll rattle them in there. I was having a conversation with another old beekeeper about combining swarms and weaker hives and all the rest of it. And I thought you had to actually find the queen and make sure you only had the one queen. But of course you don't really know which is the best queen anyway. And so he said in his opinion, he just throws them all in together and lets the queens work it out. I thought, well, that sounded a bit excitable because what happens if they kill each other? But apparently when the queens are having a fight, they get into a fight because they only want one dominant queen in the hive and they'll be doing their thing. And if they get into a position where they're both going to get stung at the same time and they're both going to die, they'll just stop fighting and go off to their respective corners. A bit like a couple of boxers. They just go off to the corner of the nets and sit there and have a little bit of a regroup. And then I'll have a box on a bit later on. I thought that was a bit of interesting information. How they actually figured that out, I don't know, but I guess some researcher somewhere watched a couple of queens in an observation hive have a box on. Who knows? But anyway, I thought that saves a whole lot of time finding the queen. So I guess the biggest, fittest, strongest one wins. We're not actually combining today, so I'm getting off track. But if you are, that's something to remember. It'll save you a couple of hours looking for the queens. I'll just pop this out of the way, because we don't really want that there. Oh, I'm sorry, girls. You will appreciate this, though. It'll be a much neater home to be in. Oh. Now, don't forget, everybody, that all the field bees are orientated to this particular site. So you want to, if you're going to be doing this, you've got to actually make sure you put everybody back so as when the field bees come home, they know where they are. Otherwise, you'll have a whole heap of excitement. If you put it over there, then these girls will come back and you'll have a heap of bees in a box that you don't want, and a heap of girls over there that are wondering what the hell happened to dinner. So you can see all the girls have come back from their work and wondering what the hell's going on. So you've got to make sure, or you can move them all together, but that's not what we're doing. So we'll start with these few in this box here and we'll shake them in, but I think most of the swarm's in the lid. We'll just get some of these out of here. This is just old stuff I was cleaning up that they decided to land on. Don't really want them building on this. Come on, off you get. I think the master of ceremonies is probably in the roof. Well, I'm hoping she is. Otherwise it could get very interesting. They've definitely built in the lid anyway, so. Oh dear. What else have we got going on in here? There's a few little ones running up the side here, but that'll be right. We'll get them in a minute. I think the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sit this up on the side and we're going to smoke them into this little new home. So that's a plan I'm working on anyway. So we're just going to sit the lid up here, smoke them out the way a bit. What I'm doing is I just want to smoke them out of here because they're all made this new nest up here. I want them to run into this box, so, but I don't want to bloom and disturb them too much until I get this moved. So I'm just going to give them a bit of smoke and drive them off this lid, drive them off their new formed honeycomb and into their new home. So yeah, I know they'll have to start again, but it's no point in them living in the lid of a box. It's not going to work out too well for them. And I reckon now we've got them off and off there a bit. We'll give them a little shake. Everybody's getting excited, John. They're not happy with us. Good. So she hasn't started laying up here, which is good. This is what I didn't want to happen. Very good. Not that I've seen her anywhere, and she's got, can't see any eggs in that lot, which is good. Thought it good anyway. It's appropriate for this project in any case. It's very surprising just how many bees there is, even though it looks like it's very small little home. So have a look at that lot. No wonder when there's a blooming big nest or a big hive and you got 60 or 100,000 bees running around, how crazy it gets. I mean, hell, this is just a little handful. So anyway, they'll be much happier in this little newt box. They can make a nice little home and start afresh and do the right thing and become a very productive little nest for us. So of course, when a swarm turns up, depending on its size, this is only a little swarm, the ladies all turn up with their tummies full of honey, and then they can immediately start making some comb for them to lay their new home in. I mean, how bloody clever is that? They come whizzing across the countryside in a great big ball of bees, and they say, "Oh, here's a nice little home to be in." And then they can start producing wax flakes from their honey that they've got in their little honey tummies, and they've got themselves organised for an instant new home. I didn't actually want them in this old box, so I'm going to get them in this little newt box so I can actually manage them. There's something to remember, that if you get a swarm turn up, they come prepared. But if you happen to buy a little package of bees, they're not prepared at all because they've just been rattled out of a hive somewhere and a queen's been chucked in there with them. So you've got to feed them for a couple of weeks. But normally a swarm turns up, nature's got its shit sorted out. It's got them a head start. When they roll in the door, they've got a head start. I reckon it's all pretty bloody clever myself. We'll just smoke them into this newt box. We'll pop the lid on and hopefully they don't decide to abscond. Otherwise that'll be a pain, but hell, that's happened before today. I'll just put this over here because not that it's really that excitable, but it's got the scent of the queen and that little bit of honeycomb that they've made. I really don't want them to get accidentally back inside this box, so I'm going to put it over there just a little bit out of the way because like I said, they're all orientated basically to this area, so they're going to smell their queen or their boss and they're going to wiggle in there, which is all good, and hopefully go in the front here and create a proper little home. Well, that's my plan anyway. We'll just smoke them a bit up the corner here so they can get in there. The last thing you want to do when you've got a little swarm like this is crush anybody. Well, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you don't want to crush anybody anytime, but sometimes when there's so many of them, you haven't got a choice. Of course, you want to do your best not to lose any of your workforce any of the time, but it's even more imperative when they're only a small little group like this. Not sure what they're doing with that wax, but anyway, they look like they're having fun with that. Out the way, chicks. In you go. It's like the block. We'll just pop the lid on. Ta-da!
As darkness fell across the nest.
Did that lid go on there or not? Was it being stupid? Hang on, maybe it goes the other way around. I don't think it's supposed to go that way. I think it goes the other way around. That's probably why I don't like this old school idea of these jolly nails. I know the principle, so the shit won't fly off, but God, I tell you, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, these blooming sticking up nail things, unless you've got the exact lid for the exact box. I don't think this is the exact lid for this box somehow, because it doesn't seem to work either way. Ah, blooming hell! I'll just go and get myself a hammer. Just wait there. Gah! Rightio. I'm just going to tack these jolly nails in because they drive me bonkers. Right. That'll solve that problem. I can just sit on there then. Of course, now when I go to move this newt box, the lid will probably slide off and I'll go, perhaps I should put some nails in the side of that to keep the lid still. After a couple 100 years of beekeeping, There's been so many different options and so many different things tried and used or not used or thought up and then chucked out. It's just crazy. I've got a blooming bee frame around here somewhere that had a really skinny little bit of clear plastic foundation, which must have been the original idea for plastic foundation. It's really quite thin, you can see through it. So I don't know, I think we've tried a lot of stuff through the eons, this beekeeping gig. We've come a long way from clay pots in Egypt to, I think it was cane baskets in England, and I think we ended up in champagne boxes, and then we've got these wooden frames, and hell, now we've even got purpose-built bee boxes here in the 21st century. But I don't know, I think we're probably ready for an upgrade. I've no idea what's going to happen next, but if beekeeping is going to evolve to keep pace with all the rest of the jolly necessity that the planet wants, we might have to kick it up a gear, and I don't know how we're going to do it, because it's all still fairly manual, which is actually kind of groovy in a way, because it's probably one of the few agricultural industries that you can kind of start without a whole lot of stuff. And then you end up with a whole shed full of boxes and frames and wax and God knows what, and then you still haven't got all the right stuff. So we're just going to go for a little drive down to Lamoureux, and I've just got another early swarm that's in a newt box. And I just wanted to show you the difference between a late swarm and an early swarm, and just how much difference it makes with a few extra 1,000 workers turn up. It just gets a little bit, anyway, it's a very interesting comparison. So let's just put the GoPro on, play some music, and off we go. So these little ladies have been hiding in this swarm box for a bit. Well, newt box. They were an earlier swarm, so I just thought I'd have a bit of a cross comparison between that little tiny little bit. Of course, I didn't bring my hive tool, so that would have been helpful. And these girls have been here for a bit longer than the other lot. As you can see, they've been laying up a fair bit of brood here, getting themselves enthusiastic already. They reckon they're ready for a new house. So we're going to go over to the shed, grab ourselves a box, and we'll show you about upsizing boxes.